Looks like I'm in the shadows a bit. Sorry about that. That was not necessarily my plan. See what happens. But I have a story I need to tell. Don't have a lot of time these days, working 2 jobs. So I'm going to tell you as I drive to work. For the last several years, I have been telling people that I am intersex because I believe I'm intersex. And even though I didn't have a proper diagnosis, I have been around intersex and transgender people for many, many, many years now, and I felt confident enough to self-diagnose myself. And I had a very good idea of exactly what I have, but without a proper diagnosis, it did feel a little strange to tell people I'm intersex. And I go by they, them pronouns because I'm in the middle. I'm naturally neither here nor there. And that's something that I've been comfortable with and something that I've told people for a very long time. Sorry, the road's a little rough here. So, I have worked with doctors recently about getting a diagnosis and seeing the right people, and it's always wound up a dead end. Like for years, it's just wound up in a dead end. Either there's no one to take patients or whatever, they don't take my insurance. It's just been a big thing. But I really wanted, well, since I was a young adult, I've wanted a piece of paper in my hand that I can say, this is why I am feminine. This is why I am what I am. This is why I like girl things. I want to play with Barbie dolls. I want a Wonder Woman doll. All of these things, I want an easy bake oven. The reason is because of this piece of paper that says I have this. And I felt like if I had that piece of paper, then all the people who did not love me because I was not what they expected me to be would have their eyes opened and be able to say, you know what? They can't help but be who they are because that's the way that they were made, the way they were born. And I really had hoped that once I had that piece of paper, I could show it to my mother. I could show it to not my father anymore, but that's another story. I could show it to my brother. I could show it to my aunts and uncles. I could show it to my cousins and say, you know what? This is why I've had all this struggle. This right here. And it's a medical condition, and there's nothing I can do about it. Oh, I should add that the reason for the last several years that I have been comfortable with telling people that I am intersex is because I had a flash of a memory that only happened once and for a brief period of time, and I was told it doesn't mean anything, but I remember being told as a child that I had undescended testicles when I was born. And I was told that I didn't have to have surgery or anything, and that they came in on their own and everything was fine and normal. So, I don't know how many of you know this, but I was supposed to be a girl when I was born. They had a girl name, which I do wish I knew, because I've forgotten. I was told at one point what that name was. They had a girl name. Oh, train. They had a girl name. They had a girl shower. They had girl everything. And then all of a sudden, at the last moment, I was assigned male when I was born. And Yesterday, or excuse me, I say that wrong. I keep saying it's yesterday because it feels so fresh and new. It actually happened on the 5th, and today is the 9th, I believe. So 4 days, 5 days, maybe the 10th, I don't know. I went and saw a new doctor. And I told the doctor before this doctor that I was looking to get my intersex diagnosed, and that I thought that I had possibly been diagnosed at birth, but I had no idea because no one's ever told me anything about that. But I feel very strongly that I'm intersex. And so the new doctor, it's been several months since I told that doctor that. And so the new doctor, we had some discussions about my vitamin D deficiency and some other things, and I wasn't even going to mention, because she's brand new, and I wasn't even going to mention my intersex situation. But in the end, something happened, and she said something, and I said, well, I am intersex, or at least I think I'm intersex, because I don't have a diagnosis, but I have all the symptoms, and I do think I'm intersex. And she says to me, it's in your chart. You have androgen insensitivity syndrome. And most likely I was diagnosed as a child, as a baby, when I was born. No one told me, ever. And then they punished me for being feminine and didn't allow me to choose my gender and didn't allow me to say. Because I remember I told my mother I was a girl when I was 4. I remember it very clearly. I remember exactly what happened. I had painted my fingernails. I had taken some fingernail polish of my mother's out of a thing that she built in college, this little dresser that she had with a mirror. I remember it so clearly. And that's where she kept her fingernail polish. And I took some fingernail polish out of it, and I polished my nails because I wanted to have pretty nails like my mother. Now the train's going backwards. But they beat me for being feminine, anything feminine. I wanted to carry a purse. The purse was taken away from me, and I was given a wallet, and I was told if I was caught without the wallet, I would be beaten. I wanted to be a cheerleader. I was a girl, and I wanted to be a girl so bad. But they forced me to be a boy. They forced me to live as a boy. And then when I finally got away from them and started to live my life as me, I finally found me through drag. Drag was so freeing to me, to be able to be as much as a girl as I wanted to be. All those things I was punished for, everything that I was slapped for, I could now just be me, just be. And then I think back to the last time I saw my mother, which was at least 28 years ago, the last time I spoke to her. My dad had gotten on some serious drugs, and he had asked me to come back to live with him, so I did. It's another whole story. So I was living with him, and he got in with this family of serious drug users and decided that I had to go because I would stop them from doing whatever it is they wanted to do. And so sure enough, as he was calling me the F word and throwing me out of the house with nothing, nowhere to go, no money, no nothing, no food, nothing. At that time, my mother had already pretty much disowned me anyway, and this was, Jesus Christ, this was 28 years ago, like I say. So, I went to her when he threw me out, and I said, hey, Mom, you know, I'm about to be with nothing. No money, no food, no nothing. I had a car that was in his name that I was driving around, so really didn't even have that. He could have taken it at any time. And she said to me, are you still getting in women's clothes? Not in that tone. I should say it differently. Are you still getting in women's clothes? I said, yes, ma'am, I am. It's an art form. And maybe, if you come and see my show, come see what I'm doing, maybe you'll understand what it is I'm doing. And she said, I'm too old-fashioned for your lifestyle. And she basically threw us out there too and left me with nothing. She didn't offer me a dime, didn't offer me food, didn't offer me shelter, nothing. And I knew at that point that she and the whole family basically were never going to have my back. They were never going to be there for me when I needed them. They were never going to accept me as who and what I am. And now, today, I know that at that point, she knew I was intersex. She knew that I was going to have these issues, because guess what? The syndrome that I have means that I am infertile, unable to have my own children, which I'm not too upset, because I already knew these things from being around people like me for such a long period of time. But to know it for a fact is a whole nother story. I mean, knowing or think you knowing and then actually knowing are two different things. So I'm in a whole new world right now. So not only am I unable to have children, I have a 33% chance of having testicular cancer. I just had a friend of mine who, I'm pretty sure she had the same condition, just die of that condition. So, now that I know for a fact that I'm intersex, and I've always been intersex from day one, and I was denied being able to choose my gender, which I should have been able to do, and struggled with my gender all these years, struggled with being not understanding why, and being so upset at parts of my body and blaming those for people not loving me, but now I know that it wouldn't have made any difference if I'd had that piece of paper that I wanted so badly all those years ago, because they would have just said, you think I didn't know that? You think I didn't know? Yeah, I kind of thought you didn't know. I kind of thought you'd care. And I'm not even getting into the religious part about it, because, see, the religious thing, they were saying basically that God hates me and that I'm going to burn in hell because I was gay, and I was never gay. I'm intersex. Huge difference. Gay men are fucking men. Excuse my language. And I found this out a really long time ago. When I first came out and went to gay clubs, and gay men are like, you're not one of us. And then I got into the drag community, and the drag people were like, you're not one of us. And then I got into the transgender community, and the transgender community's like, you're not one of us. So finally, now, I am part of the intersex community, and I can say it and say it proudly, because I know for a fact. And that's life-changing for me. That's a very different world. I've never transitioned, never taken a hormone, not one, never had any surgeries, none whatsoever, because I felt like my family and other people would say, you did that to yourself. You made yourself into a freak by taking these pills and turning yourself into these things and doing things to yourselves. You did that. Well, guess what? That was absolutely a stupid thing to think, because I didn't do any of this to myself. And if I had to take pills and I do these things, then I'm getting health care for my health issue because I'm intersex. And obviously, even though I did not used to believe this at all, now that I have learned more, I do believe that it is dangerous for me to remain in between because of the risk of cancer. And so if I'm going to have to protect myself from cancer, then I might as well go on and do all of the things that I have been fearful of, but knew all this time it needed to happen. I just couldn't. I wanted to get comfortable being who I am as I am. Not male, not female, as I am. And I have. And it's hard, but I have. I've been able to dress more androgynously and be more happy not being within the binary. And it's been great. But I kind of feel like now that I know that I'm intersex, that I may as well live more towards the female side, because it's not something I have done. I tried to live as a boy for decades, and I've now lived as an in-between for quite some time. And so it's been a slow transition already. So I think I'm going to go by she, her pronouns instead of they, them. And I understand they, them was very difficult for a lot of people. And I'm still very much an advocate for people who want to use they, them. But now that I know my situation more, I feel like I can allow myself to be she, her, because a lot of that has been resistance from my childhood of what I was taught that was a bunch of bull. In fact, since I was born with undescended testicles, according to the Bible, that means that I would have been a natural born eunuch, which by my understanding of the Bible automatically inherits the kingdom of heaven. So for all those people who think that people like me are going to burn in hell or whatever else bullshit you got to say, read your Bible. Anyway, it's a whole new world. I'm happy. I'm sad. I'm angry. I'm bitter. I'm trying my best. Trying to figure out, like, who knew. Like, I know my grandmother must have known, or my step-grandmother. And my aunt could have known, but I don't know. I don't know if my dad knew. He was not there at the time of my birth. So there are still unanswered questions. But to have a diagnosis and to know I'm the way I am because I have a genetic syndrome, no different than any other genetic syndrome like Down syndrome or whatever else. So if you've ever made fun of me for being feminine or anything like that, well, guess what? You're making fun of I hate to call it a disability, but it is. I mean, I've made the most of it. I have made the most of it. It would have been much better to have known this whole time, though. It would have been much easier. Much easier. Well, I assume it would have been. I just needed to know. I just needed to have that information. If I had just simply had that information. So, thank you for paying attention to my little video here. You can leave me some comments and questions or whatever, because I'm still trying to figure it out myself. But wow, it's a new world. It's a new day.